Hello, welcome back to the channel, ladies and gentlemen. So, Godzilla vs. Kong writer has revealed that the film almost had a post-credit scene, which makes sense, although it's quite comical, because there were lots of people running around saying, post-credit scene revealed, it's been leaked, and it's like, yeah, but it doesn't have one, so it wasn't filmed, it wasn't anything part of it, really. But I can see why they didn't have one. And I do feel, no spoilers by the way, ladies and gents, this isn't a spoiler, but this film feels like they could end it nicely here. And I think that that is what they have tried to do. Leave the door open, but also leave it as a potential close for the Monsterverse, which would be a massive shame if they do. I really enjoyed this film. I think I needed some dumb fun, and this was just dumb fun, so let's dive into it. This article is linked down below. Read along with me. Again, there is, as far as I can tell from this article, because I have looked through it, there's no spoilers, so please don't worry. But aside from, of course, fleshed out characters and a fair fight, the only thing missing from Godzilla vs. Kong was the thing we've come to expect ever since Iron Man and the Marvel Cinematic Universe spoiled us back in 2008 post-credit stinger. They had this in the Monsterverse for quite some time. They've been doing them normally really subtly, actually, and I've liked the approach that the Monsterverse has taken with their sort of post-credit scenes. They're nice, they're subtle, some of them are just for fans, some of them are just in the actual credits, you know, like newspaper clippings and things. They've been very smart with it, and I've liked what they've done with them. They've been very, very good. So it continues further and says, of course, explaining the film's lack of a stinger to Cinema Blend, Godzilla vs. Kong co-writer Max Borenstein revealed that, interestingly, the writer's room was kicking around an unspecified idea for the film's final few minutes. So nothing was ever shot. Nothing was ever completely written down. Nothing was fleshed out. Nothing was there. So anyone who did the whole post-credit scene leaked, revealed, it's not real. It says, well, he says, anyway, there was one at some point that everyone had been kind of toying around with. I think it makes sense that one wasn't included. And this goes to what I was saying. And I really hope I'm wrong, but it feels like they're stopping the Monsterverse. There are no other films announced. Although Toho is happy for them to continue, Legendary hasn't made massive amounts of money with this franchise that they've been trying to get off the ground. They made lots of money with comics and merchandising, which is a huge part of franchises, actually. A huge part of franchises. It's never always just like box office blockbuster stuff. So they've done really well, but not as good as they could have done with the financials on the box office part. Although this one has been doing really, really decently. It's breaking pandemic records. It's doing very, very well. So, like, it does, however, feel like they have drawn it to a close, which I think is kind of wasted. Now, Godzilla vs. Kong is the closing page of a chapter in the Monsterverse, elaborated Borenstein. And while more could come from it, apparently they didn't want to promise too much if they weren't going to deliver. And I think this is what they've been setting this up for a while, right? Because Warner Brothers were doing interviews at the end of King of the Monsters, and, well, they were doing set visits during King of the Monsters shoot, and that's when they were saying, hey, look, if this one does well, and the next one does well, we'll keep going. They had been teasing it for some time. Now, Warner Brothers only have a 25% stake in this franchise anyway. They're just the distributors. Legendary is the people that make them. But everyone has, you know, a pie in this, and people have been saying, hey, look, you know, you need to go out and support it, which you do. If you want it to continue, you do need to vote with your wallets. And I think that's kind of what they're saying here, is that we can't overpromise anymore. You know, we promised Godzilla vs. Kong, and then that was delayed more and more, and they obviously changed bits and pieces and made it less elaborate and things like this. And I think that's kind of what they're saying here. You know, Borenstein specifically says, this is kind of the culmination of a particular chapter, and whatever may or may not come after it, it's cool that this feels wrapped up. We certainly toyed around with something. And that's something everyone seems to indicate anyway is Destroyer. Which makes sense. In fact, it was almost teased. You know, Destroyer was almost teased at the end of Godzilla King of the Monsters, you know. The alien cells going crazy and well, Ghidorah's alien cells anyway. So it's interesting. I can see what they're saying. They're saying, oh, it's the end of a chapter. And that's kind of why it feels like it's the end. You know, you watch this film, no spoilers, but it feels like it's the end. It does feel like it's the end of the Monsterverse. But it also feels like it can continue. And I think what they're doing here is very wise. They are quite literally just sitting here and waiting for the financial aspect to come in. And then they're probably going to make a decision moving off from that, which is actually quite smart. And I prefer them to do that rather than, you know, run before they're walking. So the real story here is that there was a post-credit scene on the table, which partially confirms the rumours of such that have been floating around since well before GVK's release. However, whether anything was filmed or not, or it could have entailed, remains a mystery. Based on what we've heard and shared, two likely scenarios were an either tease for the kaiju killer Destroyer appearing in the next film, Toho Pictures Inc., or Monarch finding Godzilla Jr. frozen in hibernation within an iceberg. I don't think any of those. Godzilla Jr.? Nah. Why would you do that? What would be the point? You have, like, Godzilla. There's no need to have Godzilla Jr. It will complicate things, I think. And it would be kind of lazy, to be honest. Destroyer, though. I like that one. And it works within the context of Apex in Godzilla vs. Kong. And I think that that's the highest likelihood. You know, you had the Oxygen Destroyer, you had Ghidorah's cells, and then you've got Apex. You know, wanting to create Titans and mess around with Titans. Yeah, it makes a lot of sense, actually. Destroyer is the one that makes sense there. Now, the best guess, though, is the third possibility concerning aliens. And this is something that people have gone into. They've thought, well, the Zillions will get involved and stuff like that. Minor spoiler, and it's not really a spoiler, so don't worry. Godzilla vs. Kong does make some references to Roswell, but not massively. And there's a Monarch facility there, right? Now, obviously, Roswell, New Mexico, famous for aliens. And that's where they're thinking, anyway, was that's where basically King Ghidorah's... either King Ghidorah landed, or people followed King Ghidorah. Aliens followed King Ghidorah, because King Ghidorah is confirmed, Monster Zero, an alien. And then this article perfectly notes that it leaves the door open for the Zillions, and possibly the Futurians to appear down the line, which does make sense, but I doubt it. I doubt it. Having said that, though, they really did go balls to the wall sci-fi in this one, so maybe. So there you go. It did have a post-credit scene, or it almost had a post-credit scene. We don't know. But it's the closing of a chapter. Let's hope there's a next one.